Okay, so yeah, I think we can start. So, good morning, everyone. So, thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I appreciate your interest, to learn something new. Um, Okay, so just to give a small introduction about our community, Talklify is a technical community. We conduct events every month, second Saturday with topic related to Microsoft technologies. You can just go to our Meetup group, which is this is the URL of Meetup group, meetup.com/Talklify community, and you can just join our group to get updates about our future events. And also we do events related to Angular, so we also have a separate community called NG Kerala. We do this at last Saturday of every month. You can also, if you want to learn more about Angular, you can also attend events, and you can just follow us on our Twitter handle at Talklify. So today we have a speaker called Sundaram. So he's going to teach us how to get started off with Blazor. We are going to see some interesting topics and demos. Um, so if you have any doubts or any questions, you can just raise it in the comments. We'll pick it up at the end of the session. So once again, I welcome you all for this session. So thanks everyone for joining. So over to you, Sundaram.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It was a very good introduction. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. Uh, Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever respective place you are joining this session. And thank you so much for attending this event and spending more time to learn about something new. And today we will be discussing about Blazor. And this session is entirely dedicated for the beginners or just who just started to get into the Blazor. The core idea of this session is to give some input about Blazor, how to get started. Likewise, some basic things I will be explaining. So I am the only speaker for today. Uh, so let's get into the session. Okay. So let me say a little bit about something about my that is self introduction about myself. My full name is Sundaram Subramanian. I am working as a developer in a leading company in Trivandrum, Kerala, India. Most of the time, I work on the Microsoft technologies, and I am a technical blogger. I have a blogging site which is called learnwithsundar.com. I used to write articles on Microsoft technologies mostly, and in specifically about Blazor and also about the data platforms, that is SQL and Power BI. And also, I am a community organizer. I am one of the organizer of this Talklify community and also the NG Kerala. Okay. So this is my Twitter handle. If you have any queries regarding the session or if you have any general doubts, you can reach me to my Twitter handle. That is, I am Sundar Bhai. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. So my slides are very less. Today I will be explaining more practical oriented. So the theory concept is very little bit. Okay. So just listen what I'm saying instead of giving importance to the slides. Just listen what I am saying. Okay. So um, an introduction to Blazor. Today's modern web development, we use both client and servers technologies. And as a web application developer, we may need to learn both technologies, that is, both client side and server side. That is, either client side in the sense JS, JavaScript frameworks oriented, any of the technologies, a server side in the sense C Sharp or Java or Python, like or Node.js, those kind of technologies. If we are a web developer, we are supposed to learn, or we are forced to learn both the technologies. But the real fact is, why do we need two different programming language for a single web application? Isn't it? Sometimes we may think, why we need a front end or likewise. So what if we can use a programming language that can be used in both client and server side, right? Little bit interesting, right? It is really sounds good, and it is also very cool. Yes, we can use C# code in both the client side and server side. Instead of JavaScript framework, we can use C# code to build interactive web UIs, and that is exactly Blazor is. I hope now you getting into the point. What is Blazor? So Blazor is a feature of the ASP.NET web development framework, which is mainly used to build interactive web UIs uh, uh, with our C# code. The next question comes into our mind is, C# is a server-side programming and how it can be used as a client-side in browser execution. The answer is by using WebAssembly. By using WebAssembly, we can execute any type of code in the browser. We will have a detailed look about WebAssembly very shortly. Okay, so a Blazor application is built out of the things that make up websites like HTML and CSS and also C# code. It doesn't mean that only with the C# code we can build Blazor. Not exactly. We can also use HTML and also we can apply CSS as well. Blazor applications are built using Razor components, which is an ASP.NET capability. So uh, the file consists of C# code and HTML code. I will show you a demo very shortly. So those who are well and good in ASP.NET or Razor applications, they can easily understand about the concepts which I am saying now. So I said, with using C# code, um, we can do the client side development as well. So next question comes in the in our mind is, will Blazor replace other client side stacks? Exactly not. The Well, we don't want to think that new technology have to replace old technologies, isn't it? Why should we have to think likewise? We are still using many old programming languages in many streams like C++, C, microprocessor. Everywhere we are using the old stacks as well. So Blazor is an option for C# developers, especially those who are good in ASP.NET MVC framework. And market this, Blazor is definitely a game changer. So in future you can see many Blazor applications. So so yeah, a year ago when I was attending interview, okay, I mentioned my profile as full stack developer. So the the interviewer asked me a lot of questions in front end stack likewise. So I am in a fix, or I am in a position to learn a lot more technologies like Node.js, Angular. Even though I am well and good in C Sharp, I am supposed to do. So if we are using Blazor, then we don't need to worry about the other front end stacks. Okay, and also we can build many efficient or effective applications, since our applications are going to run in the WebAssembly state. So the next thing is, who can learn Blazor? So anyone can learn Blazor, but if we have a very good knowledge in HTML, C Sharp, and ASP.NET before, it is well and good. To develop Blazor applications, we need .NET Core SDK or later the latest version. Okay, and for IDE we can use Visual Studio 2017, or else we can use Visual Studio Code. I mostly use Visual Studio for developing the applications. So there is no barrier for anyone. Anyone can learn Blazor from the scratch, but if you are well and good in HTML and CSS, and also the most important is C sharp, then definitely Blazor is your uh, tool to learn. Okay. And operating systems like Linux, Windows, and Mac supports Blazor application development. So you can it is not important that you only need Windows system to develop a Blazor applications. Nothing like that. In any application, we can develop the Blazor applications. Sorry, in any operating system, we can develop the Blazor application. And next thing is, let's see the history of the Blazor. So let's see the initial release. That so Blazor is developed by Microsoft. The initial release was in the year 2018. Okay. Now you know that there are many web technologies out there. Okay. Many front end technologies are there, but still the we we are interested to know why do we need Blazor, right? So I have listed some couple of features uh, that will be well and good. So the first feature is like model for building complex web UIs, and uses the latest web features, fast and efficient build time. It supports Blazor supports dependency injections and form parts of open web platform, and ability to run on any old browser. And the next features are rich intelligence and tooling, and full .NET debugging. Okay. And server side rendering, no plugins are needed, and live reloading in the browser during the app development. The last one, which is very cool. Last couple of almost last couple of years, we all are using this. We don't need to stop the browser or application. All we need to do is just develop parallelly. You can see the output, or you can see the result in the another window. So so these are the main features of using Blazor application. Why we need to develop a Blazor application. So let's see the roadmap of Blazor. Um, so Microsoft is working quite long on this technology in the year, or from the year 2018. They showcased Blazor as a new platform, and it was at an experimental stage during the year 2018, and the response was very positive. So as a result, in the year 2019, Microsoft confirmed that they are shipping the product, and they will launch the preview. So while releasing .NET Core 3.0, okay, in the year 2019 on September, and along with that release, we got the official launch of the Blazor. And by that time, they have launched only the server side Blazor. And in the year 2020, in the year 2020, the client side Blazor was officially released. So the client side, in the sense, WebAssembly, WASM. And later they have mentioned that they will be launching the Blazor in all platforms, such as desktops and mobile platforms as well. So recently, if you are following the Blazor news, you might have yet not exactly more than a month. So last month they have announced that they are going to launch the desktop application as well. So that is the thing. So I was saying the WebAssembly, right? So So what is that means is it's nothing but a open standard that defines portable binary code format for executable programs. So I will show you how the WebAssembly code looks like. So that's the uh, WebAssembly states. Okay. So Microsoft has launched Blazor in two types. That is the flavors. In simple, we can say flavors of Blazor. Or there are two different flavors of Blazor. First one is client side, and second one is server side. So recommend anyone or anybody to go with client side. Okay, so that's the main goal of getting the Blazor, since the our all the code will be converted into web assembly, and it will be works faster in all browsers. So I would recommend to go with client side. And if you are going with server side, it use the communication between the UA and the server is done by the signaler purpose and all. That's little bit a deeper concept. So let's focus on these two first. Okay. So I will explain about the okay. I will explain about the client side first. Okay. That is Blazor Web Assembly. Okay. We can mention that as client side or else uh, web assembly. So nothing but the client side hosting model is known as Blazor Web Assembly. The application runs directly in the browser on WebAssembly, and all we required is the compiled application, .NET runtime, and dependency injections are downloaded to the client from the server. So while when a WASM page is running in the browser, the all required compiled applications, .NET runtime dependencies, whatever we have in that application will be downloaded to the client from the server. So the client side Blazor can run without connecting the server on the browser, or optionally we can configure our application to the server using Signaler or web APIs. So this means that we don't need it, yeah, what we can say, a continuous connection with our server. So all the required files will be downloaded to the browser side on the first load itself. So so it doesn't mean that this is the advanced one. uh, okay. And it has all advantages and all, likewise nothing that and all, it has both advantages and disadvantages. So I will share what are those. I think I haven't prepared the PPT for those things. Those are just concepts. So I will explain what are the advantages and disadvantages of using Blazor uh, WebAssembly, that is client side hosting. Okay, so the advantages are like since the application runs on the browser, an active connection is not required, as I said before. So we don't need a active connection with our server, because since all the files are downloaded in the client side. So once again, the since the application runs on the browser, an active connection is not required, and we can host the application on our own server on the internet somewhere, or in the cloud, or or an Azure as a static website, or even as a CDN. Okay, or as an even CDN, we can run our server. Okay, so these are the advantages if you are using WebAssembly. Um, so obviously it has some disadvantages as well. So the first disadvantage is that on the very first request, it takes a longer time, as the entire application uh, needs to be downloaded. So so when run the application for the first time, or when the first event is triggered, okay, it will take a much longer time because it has to download all the dependency files. So these are the little bit uh, pros and cons of using WebAssembly. Now let's see about the server side hosting, that is Blazor server. Okay. Okay. So uh, with the server side hosting model, the application is executed on the server, not like as WASM. In WASM, everything is downloaded to the client browser side, but in Blazor server side, the application is executed on the server. Between the client and the server, a signal connection is established, as I said. So if we are developing a Blazor server application, then the communication between our server and the UI is established using a signaler. You may think that do we need to implement signaler, or no, nothing like that. We don't need to implement signaler. All will be handled by the Blazor itself. We no need to implement anything. That is, we in normal, if we want to implement signaler, we will be creating a hub and establishing the connections, right? So here we no need to do such things and all. By default itself, Blazor will be handling those things. And this system is also has some pros and cons, that is advantages and disadvantages. So the first advantage is the app loads much faster, since there is no need to load for WebAssembly. Whereas in WASM, I said that the initial load will be taking more time because everything needs to be downloaded, and it should and WebAssembly needs to run those things. Whereas here it is not so, because all the things are run in the server side itself. Okay, as I said, since the application runs on the server, it can take full advantage of server capabilities, including the use of any .NET Core capabilities APIs. So everything it runs in the server side. So basically, it's like a .NET application, ASP Core application, or ASP .NET application, MEC. Likewise, it will be working. So we no need to bother about the things, and all the client needs to use the app is in a browser. Even browser that don't support WebAssembly can be used. So some of the browsers, sometimes some of the browsers may not be supporting the WebAssembly. These days, many of the browsers are supporting. Just in case, if we no need to bother about whether the browser supports the web, that is WebAssembly or WASM. So those kind of thoughts we no need to bother about it. And uh, the disadvantages of using the server is that ASP.NET Core server is required to host the application. So I said that we can use Blazor WASM as a CDN, or we can host that as a static page in the Azure. But when we are using server application, definitely hosting server ASP.NET Core server is required to host the application, and also an active connection to the server is always required. So if the connection between the server is down, then no longer we can use the application. So that is the third disadvantage. If the server is down, the application stops working, and the scalability can be changed. Definitely, when we are using the server based applications, definitely we will be facing these kind of things. So I will summarize the things. So uh, in the server side, in the server side hosting model, that is a Blazor server side, Blazor is executed on the server from within an ASP.NET Core application. So UA updates event handling and JavaScript calls are handled over a signaler connection. So entire thing in the Blazor server is handled by the signaler. Okay, so whereas in the client side, that is WebAssembly, um, the Blazor app, its dependencies and the .NET Core runtime are downloaded to the browser, and the app is executed directly on the browser UA thread. So all UA updates and event handling happen within the same process. So that's why I said always prefer. Initially, I said that we should prefer client side. We should because we no need bother about the standard connectivity between the server and all, and on the first load itself all the required files will be downloaded to the browser, and within the same process everything will be executed. So I would prefer WebAssembly. That's the thing I just conveyed. Okay, so now let's look into the project structures. Okay, so as I said, we can use Visual Studio, or we can use Visual Studio, sorry, Visual Code, or anything we can use. IDEs can be used. Mm, but I always prefer Visual Studio. Okay, so first let's get into the uh, start the Visual Studio. Okay, so now so one more thing I forgot to mention. We can, if we are using WebAssembly page, that is WASM page, that is WebAssembly page, we can create PWA applications as well. So that also I will show you. Now let's get into the project structure, how to create the application. So first let's create Visual Studio. Let's open the Visual Studio. Okay, so I'm using Visual Studio 2019. So uh, let's click the create new project. Okay, now the demo consists of I will show you the project structures in Blazor server side, and also I will show the project structures in client side application, that is WebAssembly, and also the project structure in the PWA as well. Okay, so now we need to choose the template. So in order to create a Blazor application, okay, .NET framework itself, it shows us the that is Visual Studio itself prompt us option, that is project type as Blazor app. We have to choose this and need to click the next button, and now we need to configure our project, that is the location where we are going to store the that is the location where we are going to save the application. So I'm just giving demo Blazor server, since we are going to develop a Blazor server application, and I'm choosing my location. Okay, so I have chosen my location, and I'm going to create next. So as I said, Blazor gives two flavors for us. Either we can develop server-side application, or else we can develop client-side application. So now we are going to look into the server-side application. So if we are going to select the server-side application, then we have to choose the option as Blazor server app. If we are going to create a WebAssembly or client-side application, then we have to choose the project template as Blazor WebAssembly. So first, let's look into the Blazor server app. And if you look here, you can choose the .NET framework which you want. So I'm choosing the latest one which I have installed. The latest one which I have is .NET 5.0. Okay, that is .NET Core. And let's click the create button. Okay, so by the time we yeah server side application will be created. Okay, so okay, so now our server application is created. Okay, so if you have been already worked in any of the .NET applications, that is MEC application or MEC.NET Core application, this folder structure and the interface will be similar, nothing much different like Xamarin or anything else. So it is almost similar with the MEC concept, the I mean the project structure and everything and all. So as for now, I am just closing this window. Okay, so now if you look here, first let's look into the high level of the uh, folder structures in the project. Okay, so we have the properties, we have www root, we have data, we have pages, we have shared, and some razor pages. That is, I will explain what they are. Okay, so we have some razor components, that is underscore imports, app, and app settings, and program.cs and startup.cs. So okay, uh, as a tip, I will share this now. Okay, uh, the startup.cs is only available for the server applications, whereas in WebAssembly, that is Blazor WASM, we don't have the startup class. I will explain those things later. By so on the first look itself, if you want to know whether this is a WebAssembly or a server application, by using the startup.cs class, we can identify the things. Okay, okay. So first, let's get into the program.cs file. And if you look into this code, this is something exactly similar as the as what as what I said, MEC MEC.NET Core. Okay, so this program.cs is a variable. Uh, oh, sorry, not variable. The program.cs class is available only. We can't say that this is only available in the server side application. What I said is startup class is only available in the server side. Okay, the main method, if you look into the program.cs, okay, the main method is create host builder method. As the name implies, it creates the ASP.NET Core host, which is to host the Blazor application. Since, as I said before, since the server-side applications runs on the that is Blazor server-side applications runs on the server. Um, so create host method is used to host the Blazor application on the server side. Um, so that is the purpose of this program.cs and the um, create host method. Okay, so in the create host method, we can set up the default startup class. So here we have set up the startup class file. So now let's look into the startup class. Okay. Yeah, the thing which I was about to share is like uh, only in only in the Blazor server-side application only we set up the startup file in the program.cs. Whereas in WebAssembly, it is not so. The things which we are about to see in the startup class, all the things will be initialized in the program.cs in the WebAssembly project. So later we can see that. Okay. Uh, since I don't have much knowledge in the server side, uh, Blazor server side, I am a big fan of Wasm. That's the thing. Um, okay, so now let's look into the startup class. Okay, so uh, as I said before, the startup.cs class file is only present in the Blazor server application, which also means that yeah, that is the thing, which means that Blazor WebAssembly project doesn't have the startup class things. That is the thing. Okay, and this file contains the application's startup logic. So in this class file, there are two methods. If you look into here, there are two main methods. Okay, uh, the one is configure service, and the another one is configure. So let's see what configure service is. Um, the application's dependency injection is configured in this method. Okay, I will show that. For example, we have added the thing. As an example, I am saying uh, weather forecast service. We have configured that as a dependency injection here. Okay, I will show that example later by. Okay. Uh, so if you look into this method, you can see that iService collection. The iService collection interface, there are several methods which start with the word add. It has it has many methods, and all the methods starts with add. So these services add different service to the Blazor. Uh, I mean the so okay. Uh, let's say in simple. So iService has a lot of services, right? So those services, uh, um, if we want to add into our application, then we have to configure in this method. So these services add different services to the Blazor application. We can also add our own services to the dependency injection container. This is for example, uh, add singleton. Okay, and in this singleton, what we have done here is uh, uh, we have injected one service here. This service is not come which not comes under the iService collection. It is our own service. You can see that in the data folder. Okay, so by the time I will explain, this is just for your understanding. So in this method, we can add iService collections default services, or else also we can add uh, our own service to the dependency injection. Okay, now let's look into the configure. So configure in the sense, applications middleware components are handled in this method. Okay, uh, we will have uh, a detailed look later by. As for now, you just remember that applications components are handled in this method. Okay, and if you look here, map hub, right, you can see a method. Okay, so it is used to set up the endpoint for the signaler connection with the client browser. As I said that, uh, we need a signal connection to run between the client and server, right? So also I said that we no need to do anything. By the default template itself, the signal hub will be initialized. uh, so that so that is done by using the map Blazor hub. Okay. And uh, and the root page of the application is set by it calling the map for back to page. So in this method, the root that means the first thing will be the first what we can say that the root page. Okay, root page of the application is set here. And you can see this underscore host, right? That we can see under the pages folder. So under the pages folder you can see yeah, it's not yeah, you can see a CSS page that is underscore host. Okay, so let's look into this folder one by one. So since we are in the pages, let's see each pages one by one. Okay. uh, so let's open host underscore host dot CSS page. So when the first hit of the application, this page is initially loaded. Um okay, so if you look into the file, okay, you can see it has standard HTML code that is yeah, that is HTML code such as yeah, you can see that, right? Head, we have head tag, we have body tag. Okay, and also the body tags. The So this is the root application component, and app component. Okay, I will explain that. uh, if you look here, okay, so in this class we need to specify the root component. Okay, and also we need to specify the app component as well. Okay, so here you can see component type as app. So those kind of that app comes from the this razor app razor. So this is the thing. These kind of components are mentioned in this uh, .cs HTML file. Okay, and so as I said that it is a component. So components are the building blocks of the Blazor application. Okay, the app component uh, is the root component of the application, and the component have the uh, razor extensions, that is .cs html. So these are the razor pages. Sorry, yeah, that's what I am able to say. So um, it doesn't mean that all the files in the Blazor should have the extension of .razor. It is not so. We can also have the that normal razor pages with the extensions of .cs html as well. So okay, let's get into that a little bit. um, so as I said that the app app component and the root component are specified here. You can see a code. Yeah, this one, blazor.server.js, right? Okay, so what does this JS file does is that the signal connection between the server and the browser is loaded as a JavaScript. Okay, and that JavaScript file is Blazor server.js. That's the file we have. Okay, and now let's look into the index dot index.razor. Okay, this is the default page rendered when we navigate to the uh, root application URL. Okay, and if we look into the and these are the components. As I said, these are the components. So next component we are going to see is counter. Okay, counter. This is rendered when navigate to the counterpart. Okay, so let's run this application, and I will let's have a look how the server application looks like. So the template for server and client applications are very similar. Okay, only the execution path was the different. So I just click the running. Okay, so I just click the run. So in order to understand the index dot razor component, or the counter component, fetch data razor, these things. Okay, the fetch data dot razor, index dot razor, counter razor. So that I will explain. Okay, before that, let's have a look into the mm, application. So when we run the application, this is how it looks like. Okay, so uh, so this is the so at present you are seeing hello world, welcome to the our new application. So uh, this is the so sorry, this is hello world, this portion. Okay, this portion of code comes from the index dot razor. So if you go to, yeah, currently we are here. Okay, so if you come here, you can see that hello well, welcome to our application. So that the, so this page is run by default. Okay, rendered when we navigate to the root of them. So on the first load itself, we are coming into this razor component. So now let's look into the counter. Okay, so in counter, you have some heading, and you have some another text, and we have one button. So when we click this button, okay, the value is getting incremented. So when user clicks on this particular menu, the particular counter component is loaded. So now let's look into the counter. So as I said, as you saw here, okay, we have some heading, and we have some text, and some values are here. On a button click, some logics are applied, and the values are getting incremented. So uh, s- so this is the purpose of uh, this counter dot razor component. I will explain how this code works. Okay, so uh, uh, and under the pages folder, next we have the component as fetch data. So let's look into this. Okay, now if you come to the fetch data, you can see some values are fetched, and it is represented in the table format. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, these are the major components which will which are created when we create a server based application. So you may think that error dot .cs HTML is here. So if any of the error is occurred, by the time this page will be rendered in the browser. So as I said, um, okay. So as I said, it is not only a C# code; it is the combination of HTML and also CSS. In this, we are in the default template. We don't have any CSS code, okay, but we can apply our CSS code. Um, okay, so as for an example, let's first see the counter.razor component. So in this code, you can see in this page, you can see that we have uh, @page, and then we have uh, the @page which denotes the component, and we followed by that we have the component name. So this is the component name. So whenever we want to invoke, or whenever we want to render this component in the browser, okay, we need to call by this name. So for example, at present we are in the fetch data, right? We are in the fetch data. If you see here, we are in and our fetch data component is loaded. And when I click the counter menu, okay, a counter component is rendered in the browser. And if you look here in the URL, you can see the name as counter, that is this name. So where this name is called in the menu, navigate menu, okay. So there they have called this uh, called called this component name. Okay, cool. So let's stop this application for a while. Okay, now let's see little bit in this code. Okay, so during the initial PPT, I mentioned, okay, a Blazor application consists of HTML code, CSS code, and also the C# code. Now, if you look into here, our C# code is written within the block code, within the code block. So here you can see we have written our C# code, and meanwhile at the same time we have our HTML code as well. Okay, and and you can see we have declared a private variable which is current count, which is an integer type, and this variable is used in our HTML within the HTML code side. Okay, so it doesn't mean that in the single razor page itself we need to keep our HTML code and also our C# code. We can split this. Okay, so it is not mandatory that we need to keep all the things in the razor itself, in the dot razor itself. Hmm? Okay, cool. So now let's look into the uh, fetch razor component. So if you look here, they have initialized they have set as that as a component, and its component name is fetch data. And here they have inject, that is the dependency injection is done here. So they are injecting the web forecast service which we saw in the startup class. Okay, in the startup class we saw, right, uh, in the service add singleton web service. So that is injected here. Okay, and they have applied some logic if forecast equal to null. So where does the forecast comes from? It comes from the weather forecast. So okay, so it comes from the C# code. So they are seeing that it is whether null, then they are showing that loading. If it has values, then fetch the records. Likewise, they have written the code. So this is how the fetch data, the the idea is to just to demonstrate how that dot razor code looks like. Okay. Now let's run our application. Okay. And before that, let's see the shared folders as well. Okay. So I said that the counter name is, I mean, the component name is used, right? Whenever something is to be rendered in the page, we need to call the component name, right? So if you look into the counter.razor page, its component name is the component name is counter. So that name is mentioned here. And also if you look into the fetch data, okay, so on the page load, if I click the menus, counter page is loaded, fetch data page is loaded, right? Those all are components. So though that component name is invoked here, that is they have mentioned here. So that on user click on that menu, that particular component is rendered. Okay. So this is how we have to use the component name. Okay. Okay, fine. Now let's look into the each folder first. Now let's see. Now we have seen the pages, right? So and very simple. So what are the components that you have to render in your application? Those we have to create under this. So we can create our own razor as well. So um, just click the pages folder, right click, okay, and add a razor component. So now we are going to add a razor component. Okay. So Blazor stand follows the pattern, like the first letter of each word is mentioned in the capital. So let's keep it as sample test. Okay. So sample test dot razor. Now you can see that our new component is created. You can see here, it is here. So uh, for simplicity, I'm just copying the existing code. Okay. So now you can by default the component name will not be created as a from developer has to give the component name. So at the top of the page, we have to mention as a at page, that is browser needs to know that this is a component, so we are giving that as a component. Okay. And I'm saying that as a standard, I'm keeping everything as a small word. Okay. Sample test. Okay. So now we have created the our component. Okay. So now we need this component to be rendered in the browser on button click, or from the menu click. So I'm going to my nav menu dot razor, and as for now, for the simplicity, I'm just copying this code. Okay. And pasting it here, and let's change the icon. Mm, okay. For now, I just kept the action as undo. Okay. And I'm giving the menu name, the name that should be displayed in the menu. So uh, test component, this is my menu name. Okay. And now here I have to give the component name, that is which I have mentioned in the dot razor page. Now let's save this and run the application. I think after this, let's have a QA, because it is almost 2 hour session. So asking the questions at the last will be a little bit difficult. Suhas, do we have any other questions?
Yes, Sundaram. So there's a question from Adil. So
Okay.
does Blazor only support CSS or it also support ACSS and less, etc.?
Yeah. Uh, 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 I mean, he's asking about the.
The styling framework we are
Yeah,
using,
yeah, yeah.
Blazor. Yeah.
No,
So does it support only CSS or it
it's not
supports
about less. I
SCSS?
think it's pass. I think I'm not heard about the less. But we can use SAS.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, we can use not only CSS. We can use SAS, and
okay,
also we
okay.
can use pass. I haven't heard about less. I haven't heard. Do
Okay.
you know? Do you
Yeah,
heard
yes,
about that?
yes, Sundaram. Yes, Sundaram.
Uh,
It's also one of the like design framework. We can also use any kind of CSS, CSS, or less in Blazor. It's possible.
uh, okay, okay. But I have used SAS only. I
Okay,
haven't heard about the list. Yeah, we can
okay.
use.
I think that was the only question, Sundaram.
Oh, okay, okay. So, uh, so uh, now the page is our application is rendered. So you can see we have added a new menu in the nav menu.razor, as we named that as test component. So that is the menu name here. Okay, and we have given some icons. So that's the icon it shows here. Okay, undo icon is shown here. So what I'm expecting is when I click this menu, my newly created component should be rendered here. So let's click this. Yes. Now you can see the new component is rendered, and you can see here as well the component name here as well. So now we have seen how to create the component. So we have to create the components under the pages, and the Blazor, as a Blazor, the component extension is dot razor. Okay, good, all good, I think so. Okay, so now let's get into the next thing. Is let's see, before getting into the shared folder, let's see what is import and app data, I mean app razor. Okay, so now let's click into this. Okay. Okay, so this is a root component of the application. Uh, it uses the built-in router, okay, router component, and set up the client-side routing. It is this router component uh, will be navigates in the browser. Okay, so if you look into where this. Yes, the found property. Yes, here it is. Yes, found and not found. Okay, okay. You can see two components as found and not found. Okay, the purpose is that, as I said, uh, the root data will get the root page. Okay, so if the root page is found, then this particular will be rendered. That is the main layout, and that things will be rendered. And if the particular page is not found, then we get that error message. That is for sometimes in web pages, right? Something went wrong, please try right there, or sorry, nothing under this component. Likewise, so those kind of things are rendered here. So I will show an example. Okay, so 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 whenever a match is found, then this particular will be rendered, and when not a match is found, then this property will be executed. Um, so for the simplicity, I'm just going to the Razor page, and I'm changing the name as testing. Okay, what I did is I just changed the component name. So this is just to demonstrate how the app Razor works, that found and not found property works. Okay, so the application is now rendered. Okay, so what I did, I created a new component, and for that component I just uh, renamed in the component only, not in the menu page, not in the nav menu. So when I click this, okay, I'm expecting a error message. So I'm just going to click this. I get, sorry, there is nothing at this address. So this is rendered from the this part. So whenever a component is found, then this portion will be executed, and whenever a com, component is not found, then that particular not found property will be executed. So that is the purpose of using the main purpose of using the Razor app. Sorry, main purpose of using the app.razor. Okay. So now let's look into the shared folders. So in the shared folders, you can see few things like main layout dot razor, main layout razor dot cs and all. Okay. So as the folder name implies, this folder contains the shared components. Okay. So the main layout dot razor. So this is the application's main layout. So whenever a component is rendered, everything is rendered within the body tag. So um, so this is the main layout. Okay. Uh, I shown an example. Whenever I click the menu, some components are rendered. So the components are rendered within this particular div. Now let's look into the nav menu dot razor. Okay, so the navigation menu on the sidebar. Okay, so nav link is a component. Okay, which renders the razor, which renders the razor components. That is whatever we have mentioned here, right? So this component will render the components, that Blazor components, that is the razor components. So it can be a index, or it can be a counter, or it can be a fetch components, whatever it can be. Whatever new thing we are creating, uh, if we mention here, this will navigate on the sidebar, and the nav link component renders the these things. So these two are the main thing which we mainly use in the shared folders. Okay, and this is the style which we are seeing when we see in the application runtime. Okay, so main layout, it consists the entire CSS, and for nav menu, but that is for the sidebar, the style is mentioned here. uh, this is something called as CSS isolation. Okay, which means you no need to include. If you look into the razor page, nowhere we have mentioned the CSS, right? Main layout dot razor dot CSS, nothing we have mentioned here. So this is called CSS isolation, which is we have to give the CSS file name as same as the component name along with the extension .css. So on the runtime, the CSS will be uh, that particular CSS will be applied to that particular component. So this is how this is what we call as CSS isolation. So don't worry about that much. That's a little bit different. So let's focus on the key main things. Okay, now let's look into the sorry import.razor. Okay, so uh, for an example, this is like uh, in MEC core application, we have a file as underscore view imports.cshtml. Likewise, for Blazor, this file contains the common namespace, so that we no need to include them in the every Razor components. Say, for example, a particular namespace is required for the entire application, then no longer we need to mention that in the each components. So you can simply mention here. So very good example is when you're for say for an example, when you are going to install a NuGet package. Okay, that it needs to be used everywhere in the entire application. So what you have to do is, after installing the NuGet package, the main package heading should be included here, so that for each and every components we no need to include that. But if you look into the fetch razor dot, okay, there you can see the one namespace, that is dot data. So this particular thing is required only in this component. This is the default one given by the Microsoft to demonstrate how the fetch to show the list of data works. So they have included this in this particular component. That, I mean, that package, that heading is included only in this controller. Okay. Likewise, we can um, include the namespace whenever we require. So it doesn't mean it is okay. Make it simple. It doesn't mean we should not include any packages in the components. Uh, uh, we can also include uh, namespace in the components as well. Okay, but when we have a common thing that which is applicable for the all the components in the application, then we can use this in the underscore imports dot razor page. Okay, so that is the purpose of import dot razor. Now we have seen the razor dot sorry, app.razor we have seen. Now let's see into the app settings.json. So what does this file? So this is just like an ASP.NET Core MVC project. So yeah, Blazor projects also use this file to store the configuration settings. So if you are using 3 tera, that is ASP.NET application, we have web config file, right? And for core applications, we have app settings.json. Similar for the Blazor application, we can use app settings folder. Okay, app settings folder to configure to store the configure things. And now let's look into the main thing, www root. Okay, www root. So mm, this is something similar for both WebAssembly and also server applications. So for this folder contains the static files like images, tiles, etc. Everything will be stored in this page. Sorry, in this folder. Sorry, in this page. In this folder. Okay, so this folder contains the static files. So this is the overview of the uh, project folder structure. So it's taking a little bit time. Now let's see into the let's see into the project structure of a web assembly. I will explain few more things in the server side. Okay, so now our now sorry. So now our application is loaded. Okay, now let's just click the inspect element, and let's get into the network tab. Okay, so under this, as for now there is nothing, so let's reload the application. And now if you see here, all the files are loaded in the network tab, right? So the local host things are even the JS file, which I said uh, to establish the connection between the between the server and the client. The signal things are those is also done here. Everything is showing here. So now I'm going to my counter component. Okay, nothing is happened, and you can see that file transfer is still 7.7 KB transferred. Okay, so no other things are happened here. And if I click something, still nothing is changed, everything is still similar here. Even if I go to the fetch data, also still nothing is changed, everything is same. Okay, so if you look into the Blazor blaze underscore Blazor uh, with the query string as ID. Okay, if we click into this, if you look into the messages tab, you can see some data like this. 3 MB, 490 MB, 29, sorry, not MB, 490B, 3 B 38. Okay, likewise you can see something. Okay, these are the web shortcuts. So using these web shortcuts only, the data communication is I mean the data is transferred between the client and the server. So for the simplicity, I am going to clear this. Okay, and let's look into the counter. If I click into the counter, you can see some. I'm not sure whether are you able to see this. Okay, you can see with the up arrow and down arrow with a binary message. So if I click into the binary message here on the, okay, so the first binary message is I have clicked the counter, so that's what it shows. And in this, okay, you can see the things, that is the thing which is dispatched and everything and all. Here you can see. Now let me click this button. Okay, so now you can see that yes, so when I click this button, it shows that I have clicked the mouse event. So all the informations are sent as web sockets, and that is in the binary format. Okay, so here you can see the screen position. So where I have moved the mouse, and in which positions button I have clicked, everything will be sent to the server by using the WebSocket. And for, if you look into that response, sorry, so in that response we, okay, let's clear one more time. Okay, now I'm clicking this. Okay, so as I said, this binary message shows the mouse location and everything. Okay, and I got the response. Yes, yes, this is the message from the server. It renders as 11. It's because while clicking this, it was 11. Okay, let's see the next one. Yes, on each button click, the binary data is sent, and against that we are getting the response. So if I click the response here, you can see that response as 13. So this is how the data is sent. This is just for an information. I just shared this. Okay, okay. So now let's get started into the uh, Blazor web assembly side. So again, for that we have to go into the Visual Studio. I am using 2019 version. Okay, and as we did the same thing for the server side, we have to create a new project. Okay, now it's loaded. Okay, now we have to choose uh, Blazor app. I'm clicking next, and okay, let's keep that. Okay, I'm going to name it as Blazor. Sorry, demo web WASM. Okay, let's keep this WASM, and let's store that in. Let's say that in the projects folder. So for server application, we choose Blazor server app, and for client side application, that is WASM web assembly, we have to choose the template as this one, that is Blazor web assembly as the uh, template, and then uh, I need to I need to click create. Okay, not yet created. Yes, now it's getting created. Okay, so now we are in the WebAssembly project structure. Everything is similar as we saw for the Blazor server application, right? So here everything is similar. The only difference is we don't, on the first side we don't have the startup.cs file. We don't have, and as I said before, all the things which we have done in the startup.cs will be done in the program.cs file. So if you want to initialize any dependencies and everything will be done in the program cs page. Okay, and if we look here into the shared folder, all the things, all the components are same as we saw for the server, and also for the pages also the same. And okay, so I said that okay, now let's take the fetch data. Let's take the fetch. No, let's take the counter one, because yeah, this is very simple to understand the codes. Okay, so um, so this is Blazor WebAssembly, and also there is nothing changed in the code as well. So the component also consists of HTML, and also it consists of C# code. And on that time, I said that it is not mandatory that uh, we have to keep the C# code in the same page, right? So we can split the code. That is uh, that is we can keep the HTML code in the razor, and we can keep the code in the another file. So I will show you that how we can do it. Okay, so um, razor components can be splitted into two types. One is partial files, another one is base class. That is the approach which we do. Okay, so most of the time we follow the partial files, because it is easy to implement while comparing to the uh, base class implementation. So the so in partial files, the HTML part will be kept in the .razor file. Okay, and the C# code we will keep in the .cs file. So if you remember, I said that this is also some kind of a partial file, but not exactly. This is okay. As I said, for creating the css, or to include the css in the main layout dot razor, what we have done, we have moved our uh, styles into main layout dot razor, and with the extension dot cs, right? So by giving the same component name, and with the different extension, the changes will be included in this particular component. So likewise also we need to do for the partial files as well. So what I'm going to do is, I am going to create another uh, class. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give the same name. So now I am going to give the for the counter. So counter dot razor dot cs. So this is my code behind file. Okay, so what I we have to Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to give us partial. Link is correct. So okay. Now we can move our code into this part. We no longer we need this code block there. Okay. So now let's build it. Okay. So no errors. So now let's run this application. So what happens is at the compile time, the partial class and the generated partial class of the razor component will be combined so that the properties and the methods in the class will be available in the view as well. That is, we have created a new class file, right? So in that part, we have we have implemented our C# code. So during the runtime, the partial class, the properties and the methods in those two files will be available. So now let's get into the counter. Okay, yeah, no error and all. Okay, still we can see all the things. Okay, now what we did, we just moved our C# code to a different file, and let's click this. Yes, still it works. So this is how we can split the HTML code and our C# code into uh, two different things. Okay, so the main thing is we have to create the new class as a partial class. Okay, so that is the main thing. So this can be also done in the server side as well, not only in the WebAssembly. We can also do the same thing in the Blazor server um, as well. Okay, so now let's look into the progressive web applications. So how we can create a progressive web apps using Blazor WebAssembly. So many of us know that a Blazor WebAssembly has an offline support because uh, uh, so we can convert our application yeah, yeah, we can convert our application as like a desktop application or else a mobile app application, so right. But it is not entirely thing that we are creating a mobile app or it is a, desktop applications. So it is a progressive web application. uh, so what many of me know about progressive web apps, but let me explain that in a simple term. So progressive web apps are enhanced version of web application, and it gives extra capabilities like offline usage, push notifications, and we can use this in the desktop or else or in a mobile app. Okay, by using this, it gives the uh, look and feel as the native application. Okay, so it is a web technology. PWA is a web technology. So the first thing first, I want to share here is like so when we have to create a PWA application, right? So from my point of view, I would say that uh, progressive web application does not go into any app store or something like that. It's not something same as an application. So for an application, you are going into the app store and you're keeping your SDK files like that, right, in the mobile applications. So PWA is not something like that. Okay, it is a kind of intermediate step. It is not a website, or it's not a mobile app or a desktop app. It's come in my perspective, it is an intermediate state. Okay, it sits in between. So so we when we have to create a application as a PWA, is that uh, when we can provide data in the offline time. By the time we can create a PWA application, and also your application to be used frequently without typing the URL. Likewise, when you are developing the applications in a small organizations, so for the business strategies and all, so each and every time user wants to use your application, instead of getting into the browser, typing your URL and all. Okay, all you can create is a, so the main purpose is, if you are in a position, or if your business needs to serve the data in offline mode, then only we have to go with the progressive web apps. Okay, so now let's I will sorry, now I will show you how to create a progressive web app. Okay, using Blazor web assembly. Since the time is less, I will go through it as soon as possible, faster. Okay, as we did for the same, we have to click the new project, and we have to choose the project template as Blazor. Usually it won't take much time, since my laptop is very old. The templates are getting very late. Okay, okay, so we have to choose the Blazor app. Okay, and I'm going to give the option as a demo PWA. Okay, and then we have to click that create button. So we have named our project, and whenever we want to create a PWA application, the option should be always Blazor WebAssembly app. Okay, so as I said, we want to create, or we want to serve data in offline mode. So when we use server app, there we need a stable connectivity between our front end, that is our front client application, and server application. Whereas in web assembly app, whereas in web assembly we no need, because on the first load itself all the required files will be downloaded in the browser. Okay, so next what we have to do is, we have to choose the option, or we have to tick, or we have to enable the option progressive web applications. If you click here in the server, there we don't get the option to create the PWA. Okay, but whereas when we click the Blazor web assembly app, okay, and when we click the, and okay, yeah, and we have to click, in order to convert our application, or in order to create our application as PWA, we have to enable the progressive web application, and then click create button. Okay, Okay, so now our application is getting started. It's loading now. Okay, so now on the first look, it also seems to similar as the server application or the exact copy of the Blazor web assembly page, right? The project folder structure is similar as web assembly project. So, for instance, I can show that. See, the project structure is entirely similar as WASM, right? This is the WASM and this is the PWA application. So the both the folder structures are similar, but there is something uh, changes. The changes are so we don't have any changes under the pages folder and shared folders. Okay, so nothing is changed in that, and also nothing much changed in the imports and also in the app razor so imports. Okay, yeah, nothing changed in the underscore imports dot razor and app dot razor as well. So everything is similar. All we have changes here is at ww root. Okay, so if we see look into this ww root folder, we can see some new files, for some new four files like icon icon 5512.png, and yeah, service worker.js and service worker published. Okay, and main thing is that yeah, this one, manifest.json. Okay, so these are the major changes in the ww root folder. If you look into the wasm and www, we don't have these files, but if you look into this, the we have these four files. So manifest.json, fav icon, service worker.js, and the service worker publish.js. So these are the uh, newly added files. So icon.512 is this the desktop icon or else the mobile icon for our application, which is created by Blazor by default. Okay, so now let's look into the uh, manifest dot json file. So this json file is the root heart of the pwa application. Okay, this is an standard file. Okay, and so in this file we have to declare and set up the pwa. So if you look into the code, okay, uh, we can also modify and also we can add more data into this. Okay, so first instant I will run this application. So in order to use this application in offline, now if I run this application in the offline, it will not be working because we have not hosted this application in the IAS. So it needs a what I can say, it needs a dedicated portal in order to run offline. So I will write a separate article how to use the application in offline mode. Okay, so I just show you how our application looks like. Okay, so almost we are here. Hmm. Oh, sorry. I think it's in debug mode. That's why we need to change that to. We need to change that into. Oh, yeah. It's in IS mode only. Okay. Then what happened? Yes, it is in IS mode only. Then why it's not loading? I think under this port already I have one PW application. That's why it is not working. I think so. Let me try this. Otherwise, I will open the other application. Yes, I think so. The reason is I think I have already another application with the same name. That's the thing. Let's have a look immediately. Okay. So this is the one which I have created long before. So remember that for each PW application, we need a dedicated port. Okay. Stop right. Okay. Let's wait for some time. Otherwise, I will share the link which I have written an article how to create a PW application. I'm not sure what happened. I thought it's because of the IAS port, but it. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, sorry guys, something is not correct in this. Okay, you can refer my article, which I have written quite long before. Okay, so if you look into that, you will get an idea how the PWA application is working. So I will explain the notes in the JSON. Okay, so the name. so this is the display name of the application, and short name also indicates the short name for our application, and the start URL, this denotes the default root directory. That is the first start page of our application that we have to mention here. And the background color, here we can set the background color for our PW application, and also we can change the theme color as well, and also icons. So this is the icon. Hmm. So this is the icon. Okay. So whenever application is installed, okay, whenever the application is installed in a desktop, then this will be the icon. So we can also customize the icon. So by default, we will get the default Blazor icon. So if you look into the if you go into the index.html, okay, so so the browser needs to understand that this is a PW application, right? So that how it identify is in index.html. Okay, if you noticed a little bit down, you can see a piece of line. Okay, so here we have mentioned as uh, manifest.json. So this code will not be available in the WebAssembly project. So when this is included, browser identifies that this is the PW application, and also we all need to include the JS as well. Okay. Uh, So the work service .js is a special kind of JavaScript file that we are using for to that we are using to show our application as PWA. So that is how our progressive web application works. It's been so during our offline access, everything will be done by using this JSON. So sorry, by this JS, sorry, by this JS. Okay, so I still have a couple of minutes, so I will get into my article and show you how it works. So here I have mentioned the steps. Okay, so yeah, okay. So if you look into this demo code, okay, this is still looks similar as this is still this is still looks like the Blazor WebAssembly template. But what is the difference is in the URL you get a plus notification like this. Okay, this is I have installed for the second time. That's why I'm not getting the plus sign. If you look here, you can see a download option. So when we click that, okay, our application prompts us to do we do we need to install this application or not. So once we click the install application, okay, in the desktop you will get an icon. This is the icon which I shown, the default icon created by the Blazor. So this we can change. So this is how we can convert the we can create a PWA application, and also we can convert that as a I mean, we can progress that web application um, uh, uh, as a desktop application as well. Okay, so these are the things. Okay, in order to access the offline, we have to host this application in the IaaS. So then only after closing the Visual Studio, or else after disconnecting the internet, it still fetches the data. So how it fetches the data, it is nothing but I shown you, yeah, JSON, right? Sorry, JS, right? The so this JS will catch the latest data. Okay, so until the next connection is established, it will be displaying those data. That is how the offline mode works. It doesn't mean that we are getting the immediate data from that. Not like that. From the cache memory we are able to access the data. So I hope this session have given you some brief introduction how to get started with Blazor and all. Okay. And if you have any queries, please do post me in Twitter like this.
Okay, so there's a question from Lokesh, like how can we enable Blazor PW offline feature? I think by default it will be enabled, right, Sundaram? For
Offline feature in the sense how to access that feature, right?
I think he's asking how to enable offline feature for
Yeah,
Blazor.
yeah. As I said, we for Blazor we need to host the application in the IaaS
Okay.
first. Then only we can access the data in the offline.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise,
Okay.
if you close the Visual Studio and if you run the application, we will not get the data. So we need to configure that in the IaaS first.
Okay. Okay. I think those are all the questions. So if you have any doubts, guys, you can reach out to him. This is his Twitter handle. I am Sundar Bhai. You can reach out to him. I think this was a great session. So Blazor, yeah, it's definitely going to be a game changer. 10 years back, nobody would have imagined a web application without JavaScript, because from the day of web application we learned like whatever script we use, at the end of the day it's going to be JavaScript. But this Blazor, creating a web application without JavaScript, it's going to be definitely a game changer. And after 10 years, like Blazor will be ruling the world, I guess. And also nowadays, people in the company, people they are preferring as front end developer, back end developer. And in front end they use Angular, Vue, React, or any other frameworks, and in back end they used to code. But let's say if you are an expert in C sharp, you can do both the things. So in the future, I think most of the companies would prefer Blazor, and because they can minimize the cost given to the employees, and yeah, definitely it's going to be a game changer. So thanks, Sundaram, for this wonderful session. And
Yeah, thank you so much.
so thanks everyone for joining. So as I said earlier, so this is our meetup group, meetup.com/Talklify community. Like if you want to get notified of our future events, just go to this link and click. There'll be a button called join group here for you. So just click join group, or you'll be notified for our future events. As I said earlier, we also host events related to Microsoft as well as Angular. So if you are interested, just join this group and you'll be notified. As already we have 382 members, you can just click join and you'll be notified for our future events. So once again, I thank you for supporting us for joining on this Saturday, and yeah, thanks everyone. So we'll meet up next month. Thank you.